Hello, thank you for joining us on Journalist Hangout on Sunday. I'm Ibrahim. Today on the program, more trouble for Abba Kyari as Police Service Commission orders fresh probe into link with Hush Puppy. And deaths threaten future of distribution companies as they declare no dividend 8 years after privatization. And on Journalist Hangout Weekend Special, CBN Governor says manufacturers have no reason not to cut cement prices. And later on the show, concerns grow over recurring coup in Africa as ECOWAS suspends Burkina Faso. I'll be hanging out with Adewale Adewi and Paul Dada. So, Journalist Hangout starts now. Now, for a mega city like Lagos, Nigeria's economic hub, effective transportation is key. In a move that will boost economy and governance in two of its most important areas, Ikeja and Ojota, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu inaugurated construction of the Ojota-Okpebi Link Bridge to ease congestion in the axis. While inaugurating construction of the bridge, Governor Sanwo-Olu described the project as an innovative solution to the perennial gridlock around Okpebi, Mobolaji, Bankantoni Way, Ojota and Mende areas. So let's share this story by TVC News Adedoja Salam Adeniyi with you.
Maneuvering the Okpebi traffic is a major problem motorists who ply that area contend with daily. The geometric increase in the volume of traffic and limitations in connectivity options around Okpebi, Maryland, Ogudu corridors, the inadequate U-turn at Okpebi, and lack of network of roads are what Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu is addressing according with the Transportation Master Plan.
The Ojota-Okpebi Link Bridge and approach roads at completion would decongest and reduce the traffic gridlock often experienced around Okpebi, Mobolaji, Bankantoni Way and Mende corridor.
We have a firm conviction that this almost 4-kilometer Ojota-Okpebi Link Bridge and the approach roads consisting of 2.8 road lengths that will accede to the welfare and to the well-being of our people is also our own modest testament of our commitment to the greater Lagos agenda. I certainly want to charge the contractor, and see if they can hand over this road and this bridge to us in 18 months.
These major legacy projects, legacy in the sense that it's going to create jobs for our people. Legacy in the sense that business environment will be better off.
From Ikeja, all roads lead to Ikosi-Sherry Local Council Development Area. Governor Sanwo-Olu was swarmed by jubilant supporters and residents. It's an exciting moment here. The governor is here to inaugurate a new office complex and new international food markets.
Our government has been extremely supportive of all of our local government chairmen. We have given them the latitude for them to fulfill all of their political promises to their various local government and LCDA. And this is another example to that.
Permit me to reel out our achievements so far in the past 6 months: construction of Oluyombo Street, Ikosi, construction of Elegbele Street, Ikosi, construction of Tunde Abimbola Street, Magodo, Phase 2.
This fruit market was like a slum, but thank God for the redevelopment.
The projects inaugurated are major infrastructure that promotes the socio-economic development of Lagos State. Adedoja Salam Adeniyi, TVC News, Lagos.
Interesting. Now let's talk this through with our guests in the studio, Adewale Adewi and Paul Dada. And let me start with Adewale. Well, the race to make Lagos a mega city is on course, you'd say.
I think so. This Ojota-Okpebi Road is a very strategic intervention. If you are coming from Ikeja and you are going to Maryland or Yaba, you still need to pass through Mobolaji Bankantoni Way. And thousands of vehicles, pass through that way. If you are coming from any part of Nigeria, you enter through Ojota and you are going to Ikeja, it's either you pass through 7 Up. That's the only route, or Ikeja. Now we are in the third alternative is being provided. I think this is quite very impressive, and I'm also impressed by the fact that it's giving them 18 months to complete the project. I think it's also going to decongest Ikorodu Road, which was constructed, I think, in 1975 or so. So, yeah, so I think either 75 or 78. So I think this is a very, very impressive capital project, and only a very strong state that, you know, is sufficiently solid in terms of capital can go into this kind of venture. I think we need to commend the governor and the state government for this kind of venture.
Right, Paul, what does this development mean to you as a commuter?
It's a very good one, because Lagos, if you look at Lagos, you know, Lagos is not is a small geographical area. If you travel on Lagos roads during public holidays, that's when you realize how short the distances are. But this road, you know, you can spend man hours are wasted on this road, you know, all the time. That it looks like you are traveling to somewhere very, very far. Even somebody going to Ondo might even get there before you can waste 4 hours, 5 hours sometimes on some of our roads. So this is a very good one. And one other thing that gladdens me is that there will be no demolition, because the right of way does not include demolition this time around. You know what it is with demolitions. If government wants to expand a road or something, they demolish, and the bureaucracy involved in compensating those who are proper owners of such properties, you know, can be probably maybe stiffening sometimes. So I'm very happy about it, because the right of way does not involve demolition. I'm also happy that we have a timeline, 18 months. So we expect the project to be delivered in 18 months' time.
Well, we'll keep close tabs on this particular one, because it's so many things that we know that Lagos State is really bringing on the table. We also talk about we heard about the train too that is being purchased. Yes. Well, let's move to our second topic. Do I say topic, or let's say package? That's Taraba. For pensioners in Taraba State, good times are beckoning. So this is because the state government has set aside 4.72 billion naira for pensions payments in 2022. So the State Commissioner for Budget and Planning, Solomon Elisha, announced this while giving a breakdown of the state 2022 budget of 149.78 billion naira. We have a report by TVC News' Olabi Adenusi.
The Ishaku's administration is battling hard to address the inherited gratuities and pensions of over 5,000 pensioners in Taraba State. When the administration came on board in 2015, the unpaid gratuities and pensions had accumulated to billions of naira. The situation was so pathetic that the pensioners could not meet up with their daily needs, coupled with the face of economic hardship the country was undergoing. Governor Darius Ishaku has made offsetting the backlog of arrears and gratuities of pensioners one of his priorities. Before the COVID-19 outbreak, the administration had introduced a system to reduce the pensioners' gratuities every 3 months. The move was generally applauded.
The budget is well guided by macroeconomic assumptions as projected by the federal government of Nigeria in conjunction with NGF. Taraba State Pension Board 4,728,772,519 naira 0 kobo.
Pensioners interviewed by TVC News shared divergent views on whether translating the budget figure to real funds can be achieved. They lament that many of their retired colleagues before now are yet to be captured in the gratuity list.
We have just been hinted that the government is going to take care of the payment, and in fact I retired since 2013 and there is no sign of government paying our gratuity. So presently a lot of our colleagues are dying. They are dying. They are not only that, most of them are crippled now. In fact, they are vulnerable. So we are crying to the government very urgently. Government should come to our aid to alleviate our sufferings.
Last year, 2020-21, they said there was a budget for retirees. That year came and finished, nothing was given to us. So we don't even have the hope that the government is going to do anything.
The 2022 budget breakdown, the state is expected to spend 78.7 billion naira on recurrent expenditure, and capital expenditure is projected to take 71.71 billion naira, while 83.2 billion naira is also budgeted for the State Library Board. In the budget, the Office of the Accountant General received the lion's share of 16.1 billion naira for debt servicing and consultancies, followed by the Office of the Governor with 11.3 billion naira. The State Sports Council got the least allocation of 31 million naira.
Well, payment of pension has always been, an issue in this country, because you begin to wonder when we have those who have worked many years. I'll start with you, Paul. Those who have worked over many years, and then they've retired, to be reaping the fruits of their labor, they find it very difficult. But then this one coming from Taraba, how does it come to you?
Well, it's in Nigeria that the reward for serving in the public sector, is negligence. After you have served your country meritoriously and then you retire, then you are neglected. It's very bad. Now, with regard to this one, well, it's good. They said it's unprecedented, but don't forget that it's just funds set aside. Okay? We want to see it come to fruition, because Taraba has also been very notorious for owing pensioners. Only last year, pensioners were threatening. A few years ago, Taraba was listed as one of the 20 states that had been owing pensioners for 2-3 years. So if it wants to correct all of that, it's good. But we have no business owing pensioners. A governor that fails to pay pensioners does not deserve his own emolument. It's a failure as a governor.
Well, Adewale, this is commendable effort by the Taraba state government. But the question there is it achievable?
Well, I think somebody said it has not been paid since 2013. So it means this 4-point-something billion is a product of accumulated arrears being owed the pensioners. Well, I think it's a very good development that we have heard about the fact that this money will be paid to, the money is going to pensions board, so not all of them is going to pensioners. But I think budget is an annual issue. But in terms of implementation, that is where you usually always have every government in this country usually come out with very beautiful budgets. But when you talk in terms of implementation, that is where you have problems, because pensioners they are not usually paid. But when you are talking about political office holders, the governor, the deputy governor, the special advisors, immediately they conduct election, 3 months, everybody gets his own allowance, furniture allowance, and all the other necessaries that they need to get. It's only these pensioners that we are left, to suffer. So it does not inspire our best to go into the civil service. Most people don't want to go and work in the civil service. And if a country has no efficient civil service, then public service delivery, will not going to have efficient public service delivery. Well, so I hope this money will be paid. And when you are looking at the figure, I mean, it's huge. You will have imagined that if we put this kind of thing into an investment where the pensioners will be stakeholders, it can also create jobs. So the best is not to allow the funds to accumulate. It's always good to pay them on time, not when most of them are dead. They are not talking of releasing the funds to their wives and children.
Is it something that you want to advise other states to also borrow or to copy from?
Well,
because payment of pension is very, very sacrosanct to the lives of
it's very, very, very important. You don't punish your senior citizens for working. So you know that old age comes with challenges.
Absolutely.
They need this fund to take care of themselves. You have pensioners that are bedridden, they are not paid. You have pensioners having problems with their sight on account of old age. So every state, no state has any business owing pensioners. It shouldn't happen.
Not even having money in your pocket alone can make you go gaga.
Definitely.
Well, let's get down to brass tacks by bringing our issue one. We've had 2 reports, but let's talk about this. There is no headway into the Abakari and Hush Puppy saga yet. bordering on alleged involvement in a $1.1 million internet fraud. While the U.S. Attorney's Office for Central District of California said Hush Puppy will be sentenced on the 14th of February, Kyari is yet to be fully indicted by the Nigerian authorities. But trouble is not over for him yet, as the Police Service Commission has directed the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, to do fresh investigation into the connection between the suspended head of the Intelligence Response Team, IRT, and the internet scammer, Hush Puppy, whose real name is Abbas Rahman. The IG has 2 weeks to submit the report. This is just something. We spent so many times to, find out what exactly is the connection between Abba Kyari and Hush Puppy, the almighty Hush Puppy. Let me just put it there. So, what do you make of this first?
Sometimes I just wonder what is wrong with us as a country. This report in September was submitted. I think it was announced that the report had been submitted to the AGF September last year for his advice. Now we are hearing in January that a prima facie case has been established, but there is no enough evidence to convict the man. To me, it lends weight to the suspicion that, there have been these speculations that Abba Kyari is a darling of the powers that be, that do not want him to answer for his alleged crime. And then when we are now hearing in January that we don't have enough evidence to convict him, that the AGF said there's no enough evidence to convict him, then you wonder what they have been doing. And then you give them 2 weeks to submit, to turn in a report. You wonder what they can unearth within 2 weeks that they couldn't achieve all these months. However, if that is what is going to help us get the evidence that may nail him, that is if he's guilty, it's fine. Because we know very much that there have been times that people are prosecuted. I mean, the newspapers report that so-and-so allegedly stole this or did this and that. And then the cases get to the court.
Right.
And the judge would say, look, there is no evidence. You have not proved, the prosecution has not proved his case beyond reasonable doubt. Sometimes it's lack of diligent prosecution. Many times in criminal trials, when a judge acquits and discharges a defendant, it is not because the judge is convinced that the man didn't do it. It is because there is no evidence, because the burden of proof lies on you. If you say someone has stolen, if you say somebody has done something, the burden lies on you to prove it.
Yes.
And if you cannot prove it, do you understand? If you can't prove your case, not because the person didn't do it, you can't prove your case, the judge has no option than to let that person go. So, if they are telling us that this is what is going to bring watertight evidence, we want to see it happen. But to me, it does not give me it doesn't give me any excitement. That it does not give me any. I'm not excited. In fact, I'm becoming very skeptical about the whole thing. So Nigerians who are critical or skeptical or cynical are justified.
Well, let me take this to Adewale. Well, why is it difficult, for the police to, kind of investigate the matter despite indictment of Abba Kyari, by the U.S.?
Abba Kyari was the head of Intelligence Response Team, a very important arm of the police force that we expect our best, the most incorruptible officer to be in charge of that kind of. And of course, there was a lot of media hype, about Abba Kyari. He's a fine officer, the best, this and all that. It took only the FBI to puncture that myth.
Some of his gains. And
it does not mean that these crimes are not being committed. But you wonder where the Nigerian police were, what they were doing. That, $20,600 was paid into 2 accounts submitted by Abba Kyari. And no eyebrow, no red flag was raised by the banks involved. No red flag was raised, by the police that this, he submitted these 2 accounts and then, and he probably could have even become Nigeria's IG because he has one of the fastest promotion. So it means that when you are talking of in terms of monitoring, internal monitoring of the police, there is nothing like that because they could have discovered Abba Kyari a long, long time. So when I had the police set up a proper and a formal panel led by the person in charge of Force Criminal Investigation Department, Joseph Bunike, DIG. I was not impressed because it's like the police probing, ourselves, probing themselves. So so I thought they should have been at the kind of independent inquiry if we are really serious about getting to the root of the matter. But I think we should also realize that Abakari is just a pawn. It mirrors. There are so many Abakaris in our, in Nigeria, in the police, in the army, and all that. So it's just it just mirrors the rots associated with the Nigerian police. So this kind of new panel being set up, I think they might have been informed by two things. One, either to delay, the process of trial, because justice delayed is justice denied. Or genuinely we really want to punish him. But looking at precedents, I think it's an attempt to delay the trial so that he will not be extradited as requested, by the United States. So I am not optimistic. Even if I'm optimistic, it's a kind of cautious optimism that something good will come out of this. Because we've seen a lot of things like this happen in the past. Since July last year, that was suspended. Nothing critical has been, And we also heard that he attended the wedding, the IG, the son had a wedding, and that he was there. And he started deleting the posts and all that. If that is true, then you can be sure that there's a kind of network, very strong criminal network that within the system.
In a nutshell, the man in question, Abakari, is still under suspension. Are you, are you trying to say, or do you think there's a possible attempt to shield him from being extradited to the US, or just to do some cover-ups?
I don't see him being extradited to the United States. If anything happens, if there's going to be any punishment, probably it's going to be in Nigeria. Because I don't see him being taken to the US. I don't think that will happen. If that will happen, there will have no need for this kind of prolonged, trial.
Well, whether he's indicted or, indicted or found guilty or not, what is that thing that you're looking forward to seeing as regards this, within these 2 weeks of investigation?
like he said, I am also, I'm not optimistic. We've had precedents in this country. There was an Ibori, that our courts couldn't convict. In fact, they played with the courts. They played with the court. They even got, there was even an order of the court that restricted him from being prosecuted. You understand? But you took a UK court to convict the man. And the man came back. The man is back now. So we've seen that happen before. We've seen that happen over and over. So I'm not optimistic. But then, let them prove us wrong. Let them prove us wrong. Let them show us that we are wrong. Let them show us that our lack of optimism is misplaced. We want to see that there is evidence. Let them come up with the evidence. We want to see this man have his day in court. It is the interest of justice. Is it the interest of even Kyari, if he believes strongly that he's innocent, it is in his interest to clear his name. You understand? There should be no delay tactics. All those delay tactics that lawyers normally use, sometimes. Before you get to the heart of the matter, the man says, my lord, preliminary objection. The next thing, he tells the judge that, look, my lord, we cannot get justice. Your body language, your utterances show that we can't get justice in this court. Can you recuse yourself from the case? The next thing, he tells you, look, I have we petitioned the chief judge for you to be helped. They start, and before you go to the heart of the matter, maybe 1 year has gone. And people have even forgotten. People have forgotten. I think there's something called collective amnesia in this country. We forget, we go to other things. Very soon we'll start talking about Kyari, we'll start talking about... We are already talking about elections and all of that.
Are you blaming people from, jumping from one issue to the other? Because this country alone has a lot of issues, presents with a lot of issues.
Let's deal with the issues decisively. You understand? Let's deal with the issues decisively. Let us know, justice should not only be done, it should be seen to have been done. Let's deal with the issues conclusively. This is a matter of, look, if this man he betrayed his trust, he was heading a team, an important team, a team that should be characterized with integrity. The man himself is a showman.
Right.
Has been a showman. He's a man. In fact, his flamboyance even is suspicious. A man like him shouldn't be living in such a team. Shouldn't be living in such a flamboyance. Shouldn't love the limelight.
That luxury life. So you say. Well, Paul, let's hang on. We've got a caller from Ado Ekiti. Abiola, you have something to say. The ball is in your court.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon, Abiola. Go ahead, we can hear you.
Yeah, what I just felt concerning the Abakari case is that the police is just being us about, because if someone is indicted by the FBI, why can't we just carry out our own investigation there and prosecute him, and maybe even if you can't extradite him, why can't we just take him to our court for them to do the needful? Because in a moment like this, where citizens are looking up to their leaders to do the right thing, and our leaders are just doing the wrong thing, because as at yesterday, it was online that this man visited, he attended the wedding of the IG, so even with Obi Kubana. Somebody that is under suspension, that is under investigation, doing that kind of thing. If it's an ordinary man, we know what would have happened to this person. Our leaders are just doing the way they like in this country, which is not supposed to be so. Thank you, and have a nice day, Lagos.
Right, thank you very kindly, Abiola, for also contributing on the program. Let's have a legal perspective to this whole hulabalu about Abakari and Hush Puppy. We have a legal practitioner, Inibe Hefang, who is joining us via Zoom for more insight on this issue. Mr. Inibe, thank you so much for joining us on Journalist Hangout on Sunday.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So, what is the legal perspective to this Abakari and Hush Puppy issue, plus the U.S.? Mr. Effiong, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you clearly.
Right, great. Give us a legal perspective to the Abakari issue.
Now, you know, the problem that we have in this country fundamentally is the problem of accountability. We have a country where there is total absence of accountability. A country where impunity has become a national culture. You know, there is also the lack of shame. I want to make one point clear. The investigation into the conduct of Abakari, the evidence that is required for him to be disciplined, need not be proved beyond reasonable doubt. That is only required for the purpose of prosecution regarding the criminal dimension of the allegations against him. But as regards his conduct as a police officer, the police need not find evidence beyond reasonable doubt. The mere fact that there was an act and evidence of impropriety, that there was clear attempt to aid or abet, or that he acted unethically and unprofessionally in aid of Hush Puppy, is sufficient for him to be dismissed from the police. So let us not say that if at the end of the so-called investigation, there is no irrefutable evidence or proof beyond reasonable doubt that Abakari cannot be dismissed. At a minimum, the evidence that we have seen, if you have reviewed the investigation by the FBI, it is indicting, it is incriminating, it is conclusive, his conduct is indefensible. So I do not understand why the Police Service Commission is saying that they want to refer the matter further for investigation. That is commendable for the purpose of prosecution. But as regards the unethical nature, the impropriety, the unprofessionalism in his conduct, it is sufficient for him to be dismissed. Now, the powers of the Police Service Commission, under paragraph 30, part 1 of the 3rd schedule to the Constitution is clear. The Police Service Commission has disciplinary powers over all police officers in Nigeria, except the Inspector General of Police. And this has also been affirmed by the Court of Appeal in the recent dispute between the IG and the Police Service Commission over the hiring of 10,000 constables, where the Court of Appeal reaffirmed the powers of the Police Service Commission. So it is within their constitutional power, if you also look at Section 153, to insist that certain aspects of the investigation be relooked into. But what I want Nigerians to understand is that if at the end of the day, as we are hearing, as reported in the media, that the Attorney General of the Federation said that the evidence is not enough for prosecution, Nigerians must at a minimum demand his dismissal on the basis of the impropriety, on the basis of the unprofessionalism, on the ethical issues that he has clearly been implicated for. Now, regarding the question of extradition, there is a dispute as to whether a formal extradition request has been made by the United States government or not. Some clarity needs to be offered in that regard. But for whatever it is worth, what is clear is that there is no seriousness to rid the police institution of corruption. And don't forget, the department that investigated or is investigating Abba Kyari is about the apex investigative department within the police. It is a place that I have been to. It is headed by a Deputy Inspector General of Police. So when you have an AIG investigating Abba Kyari and loopholes is found in that investigation, that shows you that there is a fundamental flaw in the police as an institution. In reality, the truth that we must admit is that Abba Kyari is just an example of what has become a culture in the police. Abba Kyari's case is not isolated. Every single day in this country, policemen are killing Nigerians, policemen are extorting Nigerians, policemen are violating the law, policemen are involved in robbery.
Mr.
People on a daily basis.
Mr.
The president promised to prove after the answers.
Yeah.
Till date, no seriousness has been made. So when we are talking about Abba Kyari, let us not pretend that this is some isolated case that all attention has to be focused on. The reality is that there is no seriousness to reform the police as of today.
Right, Mr. Effiong, is that to say that you see this particular issue as an indictment, on the police not being able to proficiently or efficiently investigate one of their own?
Look, ask any lawyer who is involved in criminal litigation. The police in Nigeria, unfortunately, is about the worst in the world, at least to my knowledge, in terms of investigation. They hardly investigate anything. I'm telling you the honest truth. So when you now have this kind of embarrassment, it is evidence of what we lawyers encounter on a daily basis. Go and look at the investigation that the police do in cases. Sometimes they deliberately sabotage investigation. And you have a high-ranking officer going to attend the wedding of the son of the IG, a man that is under suspension, a man that is under investigation, and he took pictures and posted on Facebook, and you say we are a serious country. Look at in Canada, you had Madu, the Attorney General in one of the districts in Canada, suspended for merely calling the police over a traffic fine. You have Boris Johnson currently facing serious requests to resign by the UK Parliament for what? Attending a party during COVID-19 lockdown. These are countries that have regard for civilization. And we still continue to go as if Nigeria is disconnected from the world. So what I'm saying in essence is that Abba Kyari is only a demonstration, it's a manifestation of the decay in the police. His case is an indictment on the IG, it is an indictment on every officer in the police, because they must take collective responsibility. And the president shouldn't just sit there and say, oh, this doesn't matter, because he promised reform. As we speak, what has been done to ensure that we no longer have reoccurrence of such cases? Absolutely nothing. What Abba Kyari did is what most policemen are doing in this country on a daily basis. On a daily basis. Nothing has been done. Policemen who are killing Nigerians, how many have been arrested? Policemen who are collecting money from criminal suspects, how many have been arrested? How many have been dismissed? So this is also an indictment not only on the police, it is an indictment on the National Assembly, it is an indictment on the president of the country, it is an indictment on the political leadership.
Right,
and the world is laughing at us. The world is laughing at us.
Mr. Effiong, before I bring you back to my guest in the studio, maybe they have one or two questions to ask you either way. But then I'd like to hear from you, because the entire world is watching. They want to see what is going to come out of this whole hullabaloo. What would you like to see at the end of the day?
At a minimum, Abba Kyari must, I'm saying must, and this is without prejudice to his constitutional presumption of innocence, which is only applicable as it relates to criminal prosecution. But I have said that regarding his conduct, at the minimum, Abba Kyari must be dismissed from the police. He must be dismissed. Let us stop this hero worship of a super cop. If the police is unable to train officers who can tackle kidnapping, then let them come out and say so. Abba Kyari must be dismissed, and if the U.S. government has made a request for his extradition, he must be extradited to the U.S. for prosecution. And secondly, and more fundamentally, beyond Abba Kyari, the president of the country should not allow his tenure to end without taking practical measures to reform the police. Because while we are here discussing Abba Kyari, at this moment as I'm talking to you, Policemen are on various checkpoints extorting Nigerians, committing the same criminality that Abayari is being questioned for, without any form of accountability. So if Abayari's case is going to be the trigger for the much-awaited reform in the police, then it is long overdue. The president promised this during NSAS. Nothing absolutely has been done. Absolutely nothing has been done.
I want you to clear something.
6 years.
Mr. Efek, I want you to clear something. You said he must be dismissed. But what if, it looks like in your own assessments, you kind of concluding that he's probably guilty of some of these allegations. But what if it comes out clean? Can it retain his position? Can it be promoted over all of this if and when it comes out clean?
No, I started by saying that let us not confuse the issues. There is the allegations that are criminal in nature, the ones that may warrant prosecution at the end of investigation. There is the other aspect that raises question as to his conduct as a police officer. Ethical question. When you have a police officer sending picture of a suspect he has arrested to hush puppy while the person is in custody, clearly facilitating the arrest of another person who also committed a crime. When you have a police officer collecting money from hush puppy and he later came out to say, oh, it was meant for a tailor, wanted to help him buy clothes, and all sort of frivolous excuses. These are conduct that are below bar, except the police is saying, let me tell you this, and that is the last point I want to make. If at the end of the day, Abayari is exonerated, Abayari is not dismissed, and possibly prosecuted, it would have been an official affirmation, an official confirmation by the Nigerian government and by the police that the Nigerian police is irredeemable. It's as clear as that. FBI cannot make an investigation and conclude. And you say it is worthless? Why has Hush Puppy not challenged the evidence against it? Why? Why have they not challenged the evidence against it? Because that is a country that before they come out to arrest you, they have done their job. We are talking about FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Right.
You get the point. So there is no way that this can be concluded with a different verdict. It is either they want to shield him, and they have been shielding others, or they want to give a clear indication that his conduct is reprehensible and must be sanctioned. But whichever way it goes, the Nigerian people have already formed their opinion. The public have already reached a verdict that this conduct by a police officer is unacceptable, is reprehensible, and must be sanctioned. Simplicity, they are not too worried about it.
Right, Mr. Referent, just hang on a bit until they ask me to allow you to go, because we might still definitely come back to you on this. But let me take this back to the studio to Adewale. Well, show me your friend, I'll tell you who you are. Is that the case you've seen here?
Yeah, for me, I think Abakari is an errand boy within the police. I don't think he acted alone. If he acted alone, it would have been very easy to pick him up and then deal with him. And that's why most of the policemen you see on the streets collecting money and all that, I don't think they are acting alone, because police commissioners pass through the same way and they see them. So it looks like a ring, a criminal cell. And like he said, Abakari is just a pawn, in the chess game of rot that is associated with Nigerian police. So we should be looking at a complete overhaul of the Nigerian police beyond the personality of Abakari. The police has a lot of challenges. Poor pay, corruption, nepotism, a lot of things. And that's why the Police Service Commission has a lot of job, not just a question of Abakari. It needs to go, there's the need for institutional reform. And I think that is where we need to go, not just talking about Abakari all the time. We need to go beyond him so that we can deal with the fundamental problems that face the police.
Let me take this to you, Paul. A lot of, fundamental issues that he raised. But this is something, when you begin to praise someone, oh, he's been doing fantastically well, he's been achieving this, he's been achieving that, and something, a dent just, comes out just like a pin and busts your bubble. When do you think we can begin to be seeing that, yes, this is the police that we want to see? This is the, the ideal police, reform that we should have, so that we'll have the best of policing in this country?
First of all, the fact that you got to hear about Abakari's, you just got to hear about his alleged misdeed, okay, does not mean that he just started doing it, okay? It's something that has been recurring. And like he said, and Ini said, Abba Kyari is only a manifestation of the rot. From the lowest level of the police to the top level, you have that rot. I've gone to the police station before. I've gone to the police station where I lodged the report of a missing relative. From the desk, the woman who was there, she wanted to make me, of course. I was angry. The only reason why I went through with it was I was just thinking they could say, okay, if you can find her yourself, why did you come here? You know? So
if you can find the person,
why did you come to this? Why did you come here?
Probably because you were restive. You were not maybe.
Of course, if your relative is missing and you've done your best, you have to go to the police. It's a normal thing. I went to the police. They're asking for this. We need money for signal. We need money for radio. You have to pay the transport of the high PO to go do investigation. We need money to open a file. They needed money for everything. You understand? And I had to make efforts. We had to start announcing on social media. We had to start using radio stations. They still did not help us do anything. The person that was missing surfaced. She found herself somewhere, and then she called her daughter, and then she came home. And then when I told the high PO, I said, look, he said, it's our hair photo. I was angry. They come back and close the file. Close what? I didn't go back to her. I was angry. I just left it. I just allowed it to slide. The truth of the matter is we must get serious with our police. The police, the rot in the police is a reflection of our society. We need to know the people we are recruiting to the police. From the recruitment to the training, everything. It has to be, we have to look at it, we have to overhaul it, we have to rethink our police. I mean, we have to totally come back and start rethinking the police. How should we best position our police to make it a service and not a force? Just go around the street, you see policemen milking even Okada riders.
Well, I don't know how it exactly operates in the US, but we know that they've also got police issues, where you saw the issue of the George Floyd, you saw the way things are.
But then you have punishments. It happens. Look, human beings, there are beasts everywhere. But when it happens in some of those places, you see the noise. You hear the noise people are making. You hear of. There was one that happened in 2019. The video resurfaced again. A policewoman. It was a policewoman. She killed the brother of a particular gentleman. She even claimed that she thought that it was her apartment, and she killed the person. And then in court, she was sentenced to 10 years. Even though the brother of the person she killed was saying, okay, I forgive you, give your life to Christ, and all of that. Fine. But that would not stop the
justice being done.
Yes, exactly.
All right, we've got Mustafa from Owerri, who is joining us on the program. Mustafa, please make your point count. Mustafa, are you there? Mustafa from Owerri, are you there? Well, I'm afraid. Mustafa, can you hear me? All right, I'm afraid we really can't hear you, clearly. Do we still have Mr. Inibe Effiong there? Right. So let's put pay to this matter, with you, right here. In a fortnight's time, that's 2 weeks' time, do you expect something, tangible as required to be done? I mean, to be seen, coming out of this investigation?
For me, the best approach in the circumstance is for us to wait and see. I'm telling you, because if I tell you that as I sit here, as I'm talking to you, that I'm confident that the right thing is going to be done, that might be a case of exaggerated optimism. The reality that is facing us is that I want us to leave this discussion with one clear understanding, which is that what we are talking about, the Abba Kyari's case, is only a microcosm. Exactly. It is only a symptom of the rot, the decay, and the flaw in the police. As a lawyer, I write petitions for clients who are being defrauded to the police every day. If you don't pay the police, they call it mobilization. They don't do any investigation. I'm telling you, they don't. Even in cases of murder, even in cases of rape, the police does not investigate anything. if they don't extort money from you. But what I want Nigerians to be demand is that because Abba Kyari's case has been exposed, his case must be used to set the precedent that this kind of conduct must not be accepted. If at the end of the so-called investigation, they say, or the AGF claim, because the Attorney General has prosecutorial discretion to say, I want to prosecute, or I don't want to prosecute. If at the end of the day, the AGF or the police, whoever says they don't have evidence beyond reasonable doubt, we must, at a minimum, demand his dismissal on the basis of ethics, on the basis of his conduct as a police officer, which was clearly beyond bar, clearly indefensible. But I am also saying that this is also an opportunity for the president of Nigeria to feel scandalized. Nobody can reform the police in Nigeria except the president. It is that bad. Why? Because every IG that comes into office will tell you we are dissolving all checkpoints, dismantling all checkpoints. We are withdrawing policemen from VIPs. Has that ever been implemented in this country? The answer is no. They will tell you that bail is free. There is no police station in Nigeria that people are not extorted for bail. What I'm telling you is that this decay has become so terrible, so pervasive, that it will only take the president and the National Assembly, and lastly the judiciary, to reform the police. So if the president is not interested in police reform, nothing will come out of this. But Abba Kyari must not, for whatever it is worth, be allowed to return to the police. Because that will only have further ridicule Nigeria before the international community. The US is watching. They know what happened. We can pretend to be deceiving ourselves in Nigeria. The international community is aware of the facts. The facts are already in the public domain. They cannot twist it. The relationship between Hush Puppy and Abba Kyari is one that Nigeria must not give approval to. And if you do not approve of that relationship, then you must punish him severely, so that other officers can see it as a form of deterrence and not repeat this kind of reprehensible conduct.
We'll definitely keep close tabs on this issue as it develops, and bring the topic here. Every time we always talk about what is trending, happening in Nigeria, and this will not be the last. Legal practitioner Inibe Effiong, thank you so much for sharing that beautiful insights with us.
Thank you.
There's always much to talk about in Nigeria, and so we're moving into our other topic now, and that's the power supply conundrum in Nigeria. It may be far from over, as all is not well with the three legs involved. That's the generation, transmission, and distribution. The 11 distribution companies, DisCos, now face imminent collapse as they wallow in debts. An instance is a reported takeover of the assets of Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company, that's the IBEDC, by the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON, over default in loan payments. Wallow DisCo has declared dividend 8 years after privatization. Debt owed to banks by the power sector stands at about 819.97 billion naira as of 2021. No doubt, Paul, there is fire on the mountain.
Run. Honestly, the power sector is, sometimes you are almost tempted to think whether Nigeria is jinxed when it comes to the issue of power sector. You know that there is no meaningful development, meaningful growth, meaningful and sustained growth in the economy, in every facet of life that you can achieve without the virality of the power sector. But look at what is happening. We are talking about over 819 billion naira debt. We're talking about non-performing loans that they took. You see, even the way the licenses that the DisCos didn't even deserve the licenses in the first place. See, I do not see much difference between the DisCos and the old PHCN or even the NEPA. Probably NEPA is, I'm talking about in terms of performance, in terms of service delivery. People still, if your transformer gets blown, you still go buy transformer for yourself. You still get wire for yourself. You still get pole for yourself. You understand what I'm trying to say? Right. And when you have problem on your prepaid meter, sometimes when you see deductions that you can't explain, there is no ready customer care person that talks to you. I can talk to over the phone. Right. You go there to make complaints, and then the whole thing drags. So they are just there doing nothing. They are doing nothing. I think that the time has come for us to rethink that sector, you know, for us to overhaul the sector and do something else. The NLC has power to revoke the operational licenses of DisCos, according to section 73 and 74 of the EPSR Act.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
We should begin to think of how to deal with this issue.
Right.
8 years, no dividend to show for it. 8 years, no dividend to show for it. They took loans to set up infrastructure and everything. Even the infrastructure, look at it. Look at the kind of infrastructure we have to support power in Nigeria. It's terrible. It's terrible. Something has to be done. The system is bedeviled by non-performance, is bedeviled by mediocrity. Mediocrity that is protracted. You know what somebody is living in the regions of mediocrity and then does not find a way out. That is the power sector. Those are the DisCos. The DisCos don't even have the power. They don't even have the capacity to take all the load that is being supplied by the jungles. They don't have the capacity to deal with it. It's very shameful.
Right.
Very.
Adewale, I wanted to weigh in on this. Experts are of the view that there is no justification for, using loans to buy DisCos in the first place. Do you agree with this submission?
Yeah, I agree. Because if you look at what happened in 2013, they bought those assets with loans. And what was the rate of the naira to dollar in 2013? I think 200 naira. Now it's 500 naira. And they inherited, a lot of assets that were not of global standard, and infrastructure that were depleted. And then we also have a lot of problems, like the MDA debts, ministries, departments, army that are owing them, police that never pay, they don't pay. And then you also have the problem of corruption, within the energy sector, and also a clear case of incompetence. When you go to their customer care, you see people coming to complain with all sort of. There was a time I was debited 100,000. I wanted to reload, and I was asked to go and pay 100,000 from nowhere. And I went there to tell I'm not owing you, and I met so many people there. I want to recharge. They are telling me I'm owing 20,000 naira from nowhere.
You're recharging your postpaid meter?
Yes.
Is it postpaid or prepaid meter?
It's prepaid. Okay. You want to recharge, and they are telling you are owing. You want to do online. Then they block you. So when I went there, I saw so many people with the same problem. So I think what is happening in the energy sector cannot be isolated from the character of those who run the political economy. So when we are talking about a political system that is not that cannot guarantee sustainable development, you cannot expect automatic difference in terms of how we run the economy. Those people that bought, these companies, DisCos in 2013, you also have to raise the issue of competence. Were those companies just sold as political patronage to some friends and individuals just to placate them?
It's obvious.
So, because most of these companies that took over this asset, we never heard of their kind of heritage in the energy sector, and we are talking of 8 years now. And then we should also find out the stakeholders, the big men in these companies, what kind of lifestyle do they live? Because they are performing public functions, so they are not immune from public probe. So when we are talking about what is going on now, we should also think of how the energy sector can be probed, maybe by an institution like the FCC. But I can tell you a lot of corruption is going on there, that if Nigerians get to know, you discover that this dividend has not made for 8 years has to do with a lot of problems, including corruption within the system itself. And like I said, I think we have to begin to think of registering new, DisCos, so that, there could be a kind of mutual competition. We are saying that privatization is the best option in running a capitalist economy. But this case has proved that even when you privatize, it's not automatic, that the economy is going to improve. So I think, and we must also realize that the energy is the bedrock of the economy, of the industry of the country. So if there is rot in this system, it's going to have a shame impact on other aspects of life. It's going to affect the economy. It will affect every aspect of our life.
All right, just hang on. I'll definitely have a question to ask you, because as regard that privatization of the thing. But we've got Elder Dare from Kaduna. Elder Dare, please make your point.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, to your guests in the studio, I must commend you for this wonderful topic that you brought on. This is the bane of what is happening to us in this country. You see, you talked about police. I think the one of the DisCos is even worse. Just like one of your guests in the studio there alluded to. In the community where I am, we had to buy a transformer. We bought wires, bought poles, and the moment you buy all these things, it ceases to be your own property. Now, let me ask this question. On what parameter is the DisCos estimating the bills for people to pay? I mean, it's unthinkable. In this country at this time, they are not performing, and yet Nigerians are paying. It's only in this part of the world that you pay for darkness. Darkness is supposed to be free. But, I mean, and yet we have National Electricity Regulatory Council sitting down doing work. And we have that there's a foreign, is it Siemens that wanted to buy initially, and they refused to sell for them? Look now what their cronies are doing to Nigerians. And like you rightly said, electricity is the bane of development, even at the local level. I mean, the government should rise up to what they are supposed to do and stop Nigerians from going through this added hardship. It's unfortunate.
Right.
Because if they are not ready, they should just leave the field and allow people that have competence to take over so that Nigeria can give a sigh of relief.
All right, thank you. Thank you very kindly, Ododari, for your submission. If you can't do the job, allow those who can run it to run it.
Yeah.
Where are we going to bring them from? Is it from the same society? Because a lot of people are even giving up as to who is going to do the right thing at the end of the day.
I don't think we should lose hope, because we have some companies in this country that are being run efficiently by Nigerians. So the important thing is to ensure that we have competent people. Look at Akwa Ibom Air. It's owned by state government, you know, and you could look at even Odua investment that we are talking about, established several years ago. It's not, you know, it's still profitable. You know, there was a time, I think, 1992, under Daily Times, run by Yemi Ogunbi. For the first time, it made a profit of 10 million, I remember, run by government. So a responsible government should not also, you know, should be responsible in terms of running the affairs of men, which includes the economy. So I don't think we should lose hope to say that, you know, Nigerians cannot run electricity. If Ghana can run an efficient, you know, electricity system, what is wrong with Nigeria is the important thing is to get the right people, you know, to do the job.
All right, we've really come a long way, and there's so much to, you know, continue to also look at. But we'll definitely revisit this issue when we come back after this break. Do stay with us on Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We'll be back. Thanks so much for being there with us on Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We've been talking about the power supply conundrum in Nigeria, and we actually scheduled to speak with the spokesperson of the Association of Nigeria Electricity Distribution, Sunday Odunton, but unfortunately we won't be able to have him on the program today because he sent us a message, you know, just a few moments ago that there was a big gas explosion in his house, which took off, you know, part of his roof. Apparently, his cook, known as John, put on the gas cooker before looking for ignition stick matches. The whole kitchen exploded and the roof collapsed on him. You know, he also said that there was a major fire outbreak from the kitchen, but thank God for the 5 fire extinguishers at his home. They managed to extinguish the fire and save the boy's life. He suffered 50% degree burns all over his body. He's currently on admission at the Federal Medical Center, Abeokuta. A very sad situation. You know, this is the last thing that, you know, you need to bear at the moment. Well, we offer Mr. Odunton our commiseration, you know, on the fire incident. What do you have to say to that?
Quite unfortunate. You know, this could happen to anybody. It's quite unfortunate, but we are happy that nobody, you know, is dead in this incident. So wish him the best of luck and the strength to shoulder the cross.
Well, it's really do I say devastated? You can see the picture of the boy and the picture of the destruction, the damage that the explosion caused to his house. Is this something that is unexpected?
Exactly. But it's not something that you expect, but it does happen for whatever reason. We really sympathize with him, and we wish him a speedy recovery.
Right, but I really want you to talk about this, just as a piece of advice to those that are watching, because there is that, race to consume LPG, the cooking gas, and then so that we have what's it called, the emission, the saving our environment. That's the that's the best thing to use.
People need to be extra careful. I've seen gas explosions in the past, and I pray nobody ever witnesses it. I think the advice is that if you have house girl or house help that is not experienced, in putting on your gas and putting it off, you have to do it for yourself until the house girl or house boy is able to perfect how to use it. And when you are going to sleep, put it off. When you are coming up in the morning, then you can put it on. And each time you finish cooking, I think it's better to put it off.
Put it off from the ignition, and from
the
back, source.
At the back, yes, at the back, and make sure that your gas is not expired. There are a lot of expired cylinders, and also it's very important for people to realize that gas explosions can bring down the house and then the neighbor, the homes, the surrounding buildings. It's like a bomb packed in one small. So I think people need to take extra precautions so that it can happen to anyone. Nobody is perfect, but we need to be cautious.
All right. We offer our condolence, our commiseration to Mr. Odunton, and we hope that he finds a better way of managing the situation, and God will be with him.
Amen.
We were talking about the power sector, the power issue in Nigeria and all that, and then you made mention of the privatization of the whole thing. We thought that was just going to, make everything come out, successful.
Yeah.
But what we are seeing is showing that privatization also has a problem in the country.
Yeah, especially when it is driven by political interest and not by public interest. In other countries, we've seen privatization work. We have also seen even advanced countries where government refuse to give up social services, like railways, like things that has to do with majority of the people. A lot of governments still run, railways, because they know that these things cannot be left in the hands of private individuals alone. So I think, we should not just conclude that, the economy will be the best if everything is privatized. Government, what then is the function of government if you cannot run the economy? So what we have seen in this country now has shown clearly that it's not just mere privatization that can, resolve the economic crisis that we have. That government needs to stand up and ensure that the content and form of that privatization is transparent, is corruption-free, and is driven overall by public interest.
Well, if the power sector is not, savage as the way it's going, from the brink of, the threat of collapse, and then it finally happened, a lot of people will be going back to the labor market. Isn't that what it is?
Definitely. I think it even happened with Abuja and DisCos, that people were losing their jobs. That is to inevitably happen, because if you are hoeing and then AMCON is taking over your assets, it might mean a loss of jobs for many people. You are throwing people into the labor market, and that is not what we actually want. We are looking at a situation where we'll begin to have serious investors, serious entrepreneurs come into the power sector. Look at telecommunications, for example. Like what they said, that businesses can be run. Okay, there was a time that we only had NITEL, right? NITEL, a government agency running telecommunications, and we know that people were not getting too much joy from NITEL. Then the sector became liberalized. You understand? We are not going to be saying that the telcos are giving us the best they can give, but at least you know that you can get value for your money a lot of times. You understand? They have infrastructure. You see, you see their masts. They do mast maintenance and all of that. And then apart from that, when you are not getting joy from them, you can always complain. You have customer care persons to talk to online. You have They have different ways of reaching out to them. You can call them, you can go to their website, you can go there physically and all of that. You don't have serious persons or serious organizations running the power sector that way. I'm looking for a situation where we liberalize it further. It shouldn't just be, we should have, for example, in Lagos, you know, you have IKDC and the Eco Disco. We should have more. We want to see maybe a disco, you know, running a place like this, just probably Magodo or maybe area, you know, and providing efficient services. We want to see another one, maybe managing Oshodi, right, and its environs. That's what we want to have. Number two, we need to also begin to look for alternatives to hydro and gas. We are wasting gas anyway, you know. We are supposed to, in fact, when it comes to gas, don't even talk about it. We are just like the child of a meat monger that is eating bones. So we need alternatives. We need to invest more in solar. If there's this plant called Jatrofa, which has been proved that it can be a source of energy, source of power. So let's look for alternatives.
All right, we've got a caller, Ololade, who is joining us from Ilorin. Ololade, very briefly, make your point.
Good afternoon and Happy New Year.
We should be saying. Happy New Year on the 30th of January.
I want to speak on the police and the NEPA, the electricity. What I can only say is that, without saying too much story, is that people are failing their responsibility. Supervisory role in Nigeria is very poor. People who are supposed to supervise are not supervising. And those who need to be punished are not being punished. That is why people can be doing things with levity. Thank you very much. I'm Ololade from Kwara. Happy New Year. I've been trying since last year. Thank you.
Thank you very kindly. So that's the reason he said Happy New Year. Yeah. So we say Happy New Year to you and prosperous New Year, prosperous 2022 to you. Well, let's change tack now by talking about the housing sector in Nigeria, which is undergoing turbulent time following the current economic challenges, which has caused a hike in the cost of cement. This development has triggered a hike in the prices of other building materials, prompting the governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, to urge cement manufacturers to bring down the prices in the interest of the masses. He said they have no reason not to cut cement prices. That's in this journalist hangout weekend special, TVC News Abiola Sholanke and Helena Samede Akins went round markets in Lagos and Abuja to ascertain the cost. Here is the story.
Housing is fundamental to human existence and comfort. Hence, building materials play important roles in the construction industry as they are required for erecting houses and structures for people to use. Over the past 10 years, there has been a dramatic increase in the cost of building materials in Nigeria, and this development threatens performance of the construction industry. This rising cost of building materials poses a significant threat to both construction industry and people aspiring to own houses. The construction industry uses a variety of building materials such as cement, sand, granite, iron rods, wooden planks, glass, concrete block, plumbing materials, tiles, paints, among others. Cement, which is one of the major components in the construction of houses, has witnessed astronomical rise in price. A cement seller, Raliat Bakari, takes us through the prices of cement in the last 3 months.
Like 3 months back, we have the prices around 3.5, 3.7, and now we have it like 4.2, 4.3. Just know is that they will inform you there's change in price, and that's it. You have no choice, you have to buy it like that. My turnover has really gone down. We just try to manage and survive with the little ones we can get. There's no way you can imagine your cost of production and the output. You see it will go down. Especially we producers, we are having a huge loss. And there's nothing we can do about it because we keep complaining and the government is not doing anything.
The price of sand is not an exception, as it has gone up like cement.
The lowest tipper of sand, now that is the 5 tons of it, at least to our, let's say within Bagada axis here, as at now is 25,000 for a tipper. Before let's say like 3 months ago, is within 20 and 22. Granite is 45,000 now. But in the last 3 months back, I think it's around 40,000.
This hike is said to put the average Nigerian in a difficult spot when it comes to getting a decent and affordable accommodation.
Regulate the prices. Everybody will do whatever they like. And it will affect the poor masses. It won't affect the rich. It will be affecting the poor masses. For example, now if you want to rent a house, a room self-contained, as at now, in some area, you will be spending $1 million, whereby in some years back, if you have 300, you can rent a room self-contained. What do you want to talk of somebody that just leave school that want to get accommodation?
Before the sudden hike in cement price in November 2020, a 50-kilogram bag of cement in Abuja was sold for 3,600 naira, but it is now selling for 4,200 naira. The hike also affected major products produced with cement. A 9-inch block was sold between 230 and 240 naira, now sells for 260 naira, while the 6-inch block now sells for 220 naira as against 180 naira. A garden curb which was sold for 200 naira is now sold for 350 naira.
Before the scarcity started last year, we are selling it at 3,600, 3,500.
So now?
Now it's 4,200, 4,001, 4,000. It doesn't stable now. It depends how you get your goods. And they say now the production is low, according to them. They say the production is low for factory. And what they are producing is smaller than what people are consuming.
Before, if you come, we not go see dry bread for gram, but now we they get bread for gram starting the day because of the customer. The thing don't affect them to buy the bread they had for them. And we might, if we not increase the money, nothing will come outside. So the thing don't affect us well now.
We not say what I said before because we've got shortage. You understand me? So now some of my clients are coming, the thing is high, but many of them understand that things are costing the market. You understand me? Which you can see. We have material on the ground. We have workers working with us. You understand? Paying them every day. It's not an easy thing.
The hike did not only affect products made with cement, it also affected other products for construction. Sharp sand, stone dust and gravel have also witnessed price increase. Sharp sand, which was sold for 25,000 naira per 25 tons, now goes for 35,000 naira. A ton of stone dust now sells for 4,500 naira, as against 2,700 naira, which it previously sold for. Grace Odegbile deals in all kinds of sands used for construction. She says those in the value chain have decided to increase their prices even when they do not need cement for its production.
Can't use ordinary sand. You must add cement, and even sand. The place that they are carry the sand, the people that are gather the sand inside the water there, they are using energy too. So that's why they increase their own price. The transporter too, they add into their own money. So because they are using gas, the tipper people, the tipper is using gas, so they have to add to their own money. So that is why everything is high.
Meanwhile, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emefiele, has urged manufacturers in the construction industry to bring down prices of building materials in the interest of the Nigerian masses. Mr. Emefiele urged cement manufacturers to pay more attention to satisfying domestic demand. The continuous increase in the price of these products could result to reduction in the volume of construction and increase the risk of abandoned projects. It is expected that the government should create a regulatory body to control and oversee prices of building materials in the country. Abiola Sholanke, TVC News, Lagos.
Well, there you have it. This is, you're still watching Journalist Hangout, and then looking at this particular issue, I still have Paul and Adewale in the studio with me. Adewale, I'll bring this to you first. Limestone is deposited in Nigeria, in large deposit in Nigeria.
Yes, yes.
Go to Cross River, Ebonyi, and then we still have it in Anambra, Bauchi, Bayelsa. So in a nutshell, it's a case of having, there is water everywhere, but there is not enough to drink. So much so that you have to pay high for you to get water to drink.
I think limestone is arguably the most common resources in Nigeria. Almost every state you can, which is what you need to produce cement. In I think 2000, some years back, the federal government placed some 43 items, that you will not get foreign, you will not get dollars if you want to import them, and cement was one of them. The idea was to boost local production, and it worked, because now from 30,000 metric tons, we're now talking about 60 million. I mean, from 30 million metric tons to 60 million metric tons. So that was a very good policy. But I think the idea was that how affordable houses for Nigerians. But when you look at the other complications, whatever happens in the cement industry cannot be isolated. It's like a cobweb. When you pull one thread to affect the whole network. So there is nothing that is happening in the cement world that will not affect the whole gamut of the Nigerian political economy. Now, there are major challenges. Number one, we have just about 12 cement companies all over the country, which I think they are talking about 2 more now. We should make it about 14. And I think that is not enough for us. So there is a kind of monopoly, even though we run the capitalist economy. And I think what the CBN has said is a moral statement, because there is no way you can decree the price of cement when the variables, there are no changes in the variables that led to that increase. We are talking about 4,000 plus now, and if cement goes up, if you want, it's going to affect the cost of buying blocks. Blocks, I think 9 inches now is almost about 300 naira. Then 6 inches is about 260, 280. So it means that those blocks will not be as strong as they are supposed to be. People are going to produce substandard blocks because they cannot afford to invest so much cement in producing those. So you are going to have more houses collapsing. And then at the same time, you find a situation where more people will not be able to have access to build their own homes. So I think it's a very big problem, because when the price continue to go up, it means that Nigerians will not have access to affordable housing, and housing is one of the essentials of life. So what the CBN has said is very good, but in terms of practicability, there's no way you can impose. Look at how much they are going to pay for electricity, for instance. So when you are talking about reducing the price, are you going to tell them to reduce the cost of diesel and all that? So unless we have a kind of a coordinated solution, mere telling them to reduce the price of cement may not actually work.
Do it. Well, I can recall while he was making, talking about the price of 9 inches and 6 inches. I can recall when my dad, with blessed memory, said, this house we're living in, very beautiful house, big one, said, I bought each bag of cement for 5 naira. Now look at the price we are talking about now, 4,200 naira to 4,300 naira. Where are we?
Many factors are responsible for this. One of them is the cost of production. We just talk about the power sector. What does it cost to produce cement? We talk about cost, even high cost of transportation, transporting the products, bad roads. Those things are there. But the one that really gets to me is the monopoly. Now, if there are 12 cement companies, I can tell you that 9 of them are not viable. 3 cement companies control the market. 3 cement companies control the market. We know them. Okay? And they will continue to dictate the prices.
Because of the monopoly.
Because of the monopolies. Now, what is making the other 12, other 9 not viable? The factors we're talking about. These 3 companies that are dominating the markets, they are the top, they are owned by the top shots. You understand? Now, the other ones are not viable because they are affected by the things happening in the economy. So, moral suasion that the governor, central bank, CBN, tried to use or has used will not work. will not work. What government needs to do is provide an enabling environment for this industry to thrive, for other persons to thrive in the industry. You cannot isolate what is happening. Like what I said in the building industry, you can't isolate it from so many other factors. Even security, you can't isolate from security issues. Because if you want to, for example, you want to attract, let's say, foreign investment into that sector. People want to invest. We also look at it that, okay, how safe are we? How secure are we? You understand what I'm trying to say? But the truth of the matter is, if government has a dream of housing for all, or housing for majority of Nigerians, that dream is being strong by the situation. There are buildings.
Hold your thoughts. Hold your thoughts. Sorry about that. We've got Chigozie joining us from Ikeja. Chigozie, make your point.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. I just wanted to contribute about this cement issue. No. Then, number one is I was expecting the CBN governor to have invited all the stakeholders in the industry. Then have a meeting with them. Then find out what the problem is. Find out where they can intervene, and then it's not just sitting down and command them to reduce price. Because in Nigeria, things are not working. The system are not working. You know, that's number one. Then number two, I want to comment about Hush Puppy and Abakari. You know, the problem we are having in Nigeria is we always invest in making one person powerful than making the institution powerful. Look at it. I don't know if we are seeing what is happening. The Yahoo Boys now is consuming us. And because nobody is saying anything, the leaders are not saying anything. Even when every day we wake up and then maybe we all be consumed, that's when they will come up and say something. If they are strong way, this is we will be fearful. If a leader comes out and says, don't do this, people will listen. If you look at what is going on every day, people, nobody, you can't even treat children of 8 years doing Yahoo. Everywhere, I don't know. We need to rise up before this thing consumes us. Thank you.
Thank you very kindly, Chigozie. You actually raised a vital point, and part of the points that he made was that the price of the cement should be brought down. The CBN governor, as he said, that there is no reason why the price should not be brought down.
Well, you can't just say that and then they will buy it. You can use moral switch, maybe they will consider, but the truth of the matter is that even that can be sustained. Because the things happening in the economy will always determine the price. Even currently, we still have more demand than supply in the industry. And you know how supply and demand work. That is why you keep having houses. There are places in Nigeria where you have houses that nobody is buying. Those buildings are for sale, but nobody is buying them. Maybe the only people that can buy them are those who make money through politics and those who have free money, or civil servants who steal. But an average middle class person cannot buy a house in some places. Like in Abuja now, you have houses that nobody, that's are just there.
Houses
Nobody's buying them.
And
nobody's buying them. That's what's going to happen. What about you want to rent houses? People want to rent houses. Many people, the prices of rent keep skyrocketing. You understand? So this is affecting people, and there has to be government itself. It's government that has to find a solution through policies, decisions, taking concrete steps to make sure that the situation changes. Not just like the caller said, you just call. You call them and say, please bring down the prices. Is that all? Is that all?
It's not by the word of mouth. All right. It's not using magic wand to say, okay, the prices should come down. So you need to consider all of the things around it. You raised a vital point when you were contributing the other time, and it actually sent jitters down my spine. Talk about collapse of buildings, and that has happened quite frequently in the past year, and people want to look for cheaper ways to adulterate this particular cement. So what do you think we can do to ensure that while we're ensuring that professionals are the one seeing to building of houses, and then people are also not adulterating this cement?
Well, it's a very difficult thing, but not so difficult for an efficient government to control. Just walk into any block industry. Take the block, hold it in your hand, and shake it. It will collapse.
It's just like powder.
Yeah, like powder. And those days you pick a block, you throw it, it bounces.
Yeah.
So, but you see, we need the states. We should not leave this state just for. I mean, there should be regulation, by the ministry, by the necessary ministry, that should ensure that when you want to build a house, there should be government supervising right from the local government level. They should go there, ensure that the right materials are used. And the block industries, they are all registered. Government should send officials there to inspect them. You don't need to give them notice. Go there, without notice, inspect the kind of blocks they are producing. To ensure that even if the prices will go up, is far better than producing substandard materials that will endanger the lives of Nigerians.
Because it's only in Nigeria you find say the price of manufacturing this thing has skyrocketed, and they will still reduce the quality and increase the price.
Increase the price. So it's a very bad thing. A lot of people are suffering because some houses that are built in waterlogged areas, you discover that within the shortest time the house begin to crack because the cement are not just, the blocks are not strong enough. So Nigerians are facing a lot of problems, as regarding this kind of issue. And I think it boils down, it comes to the table of the government, the regulatory agencies, the necessary ministries to ensure that the right things are done.
Ibrahim from Kaduna, please make your point. Ibrahim, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Please go ahead with your point.
My greeting to your guests as well. In fact, to me, it baffles me a lot when it comes to the building materials. This is the country that produces materials, and it's also become a problem to us. I don't know why we Nigerians are not able to tackle something headlong. And we know it. We know the solution, but we are just trying to make money out of it. Look, if government wants to tackle these things headlong, then we do it. Now, tell me, even though you are a civil servant today, a layman today, and indeed a businessman, for you to have your own personal house, it takes a long, unless you go there and do some other maneuvering before you are able to get it. How in terms of cement that is only that amount? And not talk of stone, not talk of sand, and not talk of other things. Please, all those materials, Nigerian and the government, let us come down and say something and do something. We cannot continue to leave everything in the hand of the CBN. There are many things. There are many challenges. Are we importing sand, for God's sake? Ask me. We are not importing sand. Even though we are going to invest some other material to attach to production of cement, that is by the way. But anybody know that Nigeria have almost every part of this country, every part of this state can produce. They have the resources that will produce the cement. That is my take. Obama alone, how many? In any zone we have it. Why something that we can produce has become a high rate price in this manner? Please let us so that the layman, even let me tell you,
Right. Thank you very much, Ibrahim from Kaduna. Thank you. Well, let's change tack by going to our last topic and talking about what is happening on the continent of Africa as the political instability that dogged Africa after colonialism is gradually creeping back to haunt the continent. Concerns are growing over recurrent coup in Africa. The latest is Monday's coup in Burkina Faso, the fourth in West Africa and the sixth on the continent since 2020. Meanwhile, the Economic Community of West African States has suspended Burkina Faso over the coup. Well, ex-semper aliquid Africa novi, or ex-semper Africa aliquid novi. I'm trying to remember the Latin expression that says, can anything good come out of Africa? We thought that coups are no longer fashionable, and that is what we're saying. What happened in Nigeria is what we are still reaping up until now. What's your reading of this, latest growing trends?
Coups started becoming fashionable again in Africa in 2017 after Mr. Papa sit down forever. Robert Mugabe, he had been the president since he was the prime minister, was president since 1980. 1980, and then until he was ousted in 2017, and everybody supported it then. People supported it because he was ready. It was believed to be preparing his wife from taking over. You understand? So after that, we've had several coups. You have had Sudan, you've had Guinea, you've had Burkina Faso, you've had it twice in Mali, all of that. Now, the truth of the matter is that coups are never the solution to the problems caused by civilians. In our country, I'm just imagining, if there had not been coup, if there had not been a military, what's it called now, military interruption in the polity, maybe Nigeria will not be where it is now. Many times when we talk about moving forward in the country, what we're actually talking about is moving backward. I'll tell you what I mean by that. We remember the years of the founding fathers of Nigeria. We remember Tafawa Balewa. We remember Wallow. Now, we remember the good days of Wallow. We're actually saying, let's go back. When we should be talking of improving upon what those people... Now, that is what happened. But why won't you have coups in some of those countries? When, number one, you have dictators in civilian clothes. You have people whose policies, actions and inactions continue to impoverish the citizens, leave the citizens disgruntled, disenchanted, and then you see poverty, you keep pauperizing the people, no development, nothing. It's everywhere. You have case of insecurity and all of that. But the truth of the matter is, the military has never solved the problem created by civilians. In fact, they end up becoming worse. Now, we have Nigerian example. We have examples in Nigeria. They end up becoming worse. And that is what is happening. Look at what happened in Burkina Faso. Yeah, I mean, is it Burkina Faso or was it? Yeah, the one that happened recently. I want to talk about Mali. You said you were going to hand over, then you said no, it's no longer feasible. You hand over some years coming. Yeah. And then you see, coupists.
That's Mali.
Exactly. Yeah. Coupists cannot provide solution to the problem of their countries. But the truth of the matter is that when the desirable is not available, the available becomes the desirable
or the inevitable.
Yeah. So of course, it keeps happening, and it's very sad.
Right.
It's sad.
Right. Well, he actually said that the junta cannot provide solution to the problems on ground. But it's very funny and fascinating to see Malians in Nigeria, giving back, saying they are in support of the junta in their country because they believe that there has been age-long corruption existing in the country. So what do you say to this? Well, we say it is no longer fashionable. We should not have it. Yeah. But you're having the citizens of that country saying, this is what we want. This is what we've always wanted. Because they believe they are going to sanitize the rots in the government, in the system.
When people are oppressed, there is always this kind of illusion that anybody that comes up, we want to support him. I'm sure that if you go to Mali, Guinea, and Burkina Faso, you will find a lot of people who are critical, who are deep-rooted, who will tell you that, look, this is not the right thing. The few people that are demonstrating on the streets, they are responding to their euphoria. But there are sober moments when they reflect about the history of their country, they will know that past military governments have not resolved anything. Now, if you look at what is going on, Mali, Guinea, and Burkina Faso, there is something that is common about those three countries. Right. The first one is they are all former French colonies, Then they are all located in West Africa, one of the poorest regions in the world, where you have poverty, where you have nepotism, where you have corruption, and then those three countries are also faced with Islamic insurgency. In fact, the excuse given by those coupists was that, look, the soldiers are dying, there's no more security. Look at Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso has about 1 million displaced people, a country of just 20 million people. Mali, the same thing. Mali is just about 20 million, and then Guinea is about 13 million people. And then what is also common about this country is ethnic rivalry. These were artificial countries created by the French, with artificial borders without consultation with the different ethnic groups. If you go to a place like Burkina Faso now, we'll see traditional rivalry between the ethnic groups, which has not given room for the country to develop on its own, to be able to resolve this crisis because of the legacy of colonial master. So there is something common among all of them. And of course, ECOWAS is condemning the coups and all that. Very good. But ECOWAS should also condemn bad governments before those coup plotters, rise up. So ECOWAS should not be silent to bad situations in West African countries. They should not wait until there are military coups. But I think overall, military coups are not the best solutions. Even though it's happening very close to us in Nigeria, we are not going to accept it in Nigeria. West African countries must rise up to ensure that they stop this trend and to insist that people must have the right to choose their leaders. And I think that best system is democracy.
Well, that makes sense. Let's go to, we've got a guest on via Zoom who is joining us via Zoom for more discussion on this particular issue. Is a professor of history at the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Professor Olukemi Rotimi. Thank you so much for joining us on Journalist Hangouts on Sunday.
Thank you.
So I would like to start by posing this question to you. Why is coup now fashionable on the continent of Africa, especially talking about the recent coups that we have?
Because of the excesses of the elected leaders.
Yeah, try to expatiate on that. Excesses, what do you mean by that?
Where do we start from? In the 3 West African countries where we have had the recent coups, we all know the story. Mali, Guinea, Burkina Faso. The Mali man, very regrettably, after wasting the lives of the citizens of the country, and the soldiers pushed him out, the man is now late. Now he's gone, he's totally out of the scene. But the tyranny, the impoverishment, the horrible circumstances of the citizens of Mali continue. So soldiers are no solution to any problem. But when elected leaders overreach themselves, misbehave, manipulate unnecessarily the democratic process to stay forever, what do you expect? Now, Guinea. I mean, that man, when he was removed the other day, was 83. And if he was a more sober human being, if he reflected on how he acceded to power, he should have known that he didn't have to do what he did, the tenure elongation thing. And I remember one head of state of that country grew so old that when he went to Mecca on pilgrimage, he couldn't run around the Kaaba. I think his military chief had to carry him on his back to do the same. What is nonsense all about? Burkina Faso, we know what happened to the man who has run away after killing his friend. He stayed in power for 17 or 20 years. Compaore. Now, these other guys got there. Unfortunately, the insurgency ravaging West Africa, which has now enveloped almost the whole of West Africa, intervened, and then they couldn't even manage the process well. And now the soldiers have intervened again. Now, shall we extend the thing now to Cote d'Ivoire, where after all that Alassane Ouattara went through before he could become president, the man is a colossal disappointment with all of the urbanity, the exposure, World Bank, IMF staff, and all that, and that long quest for the office. What have we got for it? Tenure elongation. And who says that he is not also sitting on the keg of gunpowder now? But all of this, what hurts me, what irritates me, is the continuing impoverishment of the citizens. And French African countries, if they have any grey matter at all, should by now be told, warn themselves against the fact that France will not come to chase away anybody for you. France is committed only to its best national interest. So whether it is a soldier or it is a civilian person, doesn't matter to France. So when you mismanage your lives and then the unfortunate happen, what do you expect? Nothing. I mean, the other man woke up and said he's not even living in Mali for another 5 years. You have locked, you have blockaded, you have boycotted. What does it matter? When the borders are open, what did Mali get for it? So, please, it's a shame. It's a shame.
Well, is that to say that the sit-tight syndrome, which we know that's one of the reasons why we have this military, junta coming into place, but the social contract of the thing, we've given you the power, we've elected you to represent us. So do what we want, do what will make us happy. But is that to say now that democracy is somewhat failing on the continent of Africa? We are not really exercising or ensuring that democratic values are there any longer.
I would rather talk about. Are you done?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I would rather we talk about demonstration of praise instead of democracy. Which democracy? Even the one we have in Nigeria, this democracy. I mean arrangement. Sorry that lay fella is not around. So this thing about democracy. It is clear now that democracy will have to have quote and unquote regional, sub-regional colorations, but there are still the basic rules. Multi-party regular elections, then is what is now also popular and which should be adopted, term limitation. But these human beings, these characters, in all of these cases, they have removed term limitation and they want to be there forever. And in almost all of these countries, there are only two parties, the civilian elite and the uniformed elite. These are the two major parties. So when you have branches of the civilian elite forming what you really can call political parties, and one man gets into power and wants to stay there forever. I mean, look, shaky as Niger is, by the time that the immediate past president's term was up, the maximum permissible, he left. I mean, and that accounts for something. Even now that they are buffeted from all sides, not a particularly rich country, though they are fans of oil now, and whether it is their own oil or Nigeria, so they're still being smuggled there for refining. But that thing about transfer of power the other day, even though it was within the same party, but the man finished his term and left. Guinea man cancelled the thing. Alassane Ouattara, arguably the most educated of all of them, cancelled it. But I don't know what we're talking about. I would rather talk about demonstration of praise.
Right, Prof. I guess Paul is itching to say something.
Yes, Prof. I want to ask you this question. You know, you spoke about Alpha Conde in Guinea. He was 83. He did a constitutional referendum that could help him to get a third term, even at the age of 83. Now, when I think about men like Conde, this question keeps rising in my mind. Why is it difficult, or why do Africans keep electing the wrong people? Why do the worst of us keep ruling the best of us? Is it that Africans are not politically civilized enough to choose the right leaders, to insist that, to look at the pedigree of people who are coming out for elections and then take the right decisions? Why do we keep having this happening in different African countries?
The worst of us are the ones who have stolen the nation's wealth, and the best of us are the ones without access to the nation's wealth. So the worst of us will continue to rule because election is still heavily monetized. And actually, whether it's in America or in Nigeria, election is a serious business in terms of the monetary expenditure. But let me say this, as I've canvassed on other forums, and I will always canvass, there are two things you don't legislate for. You don't legislate for honor and integrity. A human being either has honor and integrity or it does not have it. Okay, take Nigeria now. The game has begun, and you have seen all kinds of characters, jailbirds, those awaiting sentencing, coming out to tell us they want to govern us. One came on one television the other day when they asked him about his profile, current profile, because this is a man who is on bail, a jailbird, and he flared up. If that is the reason you have invited me to this interview, he literally told them he would cancel the interview. I couldn't laugh, I couldn't cry. And the only thing he had to tell the viewing public is about how he had become a millionaire even from his mother's womb. Is that what democracy is all about? The worst of us will continue to govern the best of us, because the worst of us have stolen our money. Our money now meaning Africa's money. And then they are doing whatever they like with it. Look at the Guinea man. Guinea is so rich in many minerals. And then the exploitation has begun. And that's the attraction for that man, that is their man to want to stay there forever. So it's not as if the electorate does not know how to choose. No. When you have chosen and the thing doesn't go the way of the man who has the upper hand, right, usually has the money and has the police.
Right, Prof.
They will appoint the votes. Yes.
Prof, yeah, I'll let you go now, but before I let you go, I wanted to, talk to us about the role of ECOWAS in all of this. ECOWAS sanctioning Mali at that time, saying election was held in February, and Mali is saying that no, election can't hold. It is better we have a nationwide conference so that we will get it right, and that doing it right is better than the speed. So what is the role of ECOWAS imposing sanctions on all of these erring countries, in uniting Africa, in uniting the West Africa, and ensuring that we do things the right way, the way we should do it?
ECOWAS is a talk shop, and the maximum that ECOWAS can do, ECOWAS has done. The only case in recent times where ECOWAS has shown that it actually can bite when it chooses to was when Nigeria assisted the Gambia to be free from the stranglehold of Yahya Jammeh. It was that show of force that the Nigerian military deployed at the instance of the president with concurrence, with the endorsement of ECOWAS, that frightened daylight out of Yahya Jammeh. So if it is all about sanctions, sanctions will not work, because these countries, the elite there will always maneuver, and then the downtrodden will remain where they have always been, downtrodden. So ECOWAS talk shop. If ECOWAS does not mobilize to show muscle and tell a misbehaving incumbent president, for instance, you cannot do this, they're going to misbehave.
Well, Professor of History at the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Professor Olukemi Rotimi, thank you very, very kindly for your insight.
Thank you.
Right. So let me bring this back to the studio as we coast on. We'll just have a few seconds to go. In the whole of this, in the scheme of things, where is Nigeria as a big brother in Africa? Because the president has said no, they should restore, constitutional order and ensure that the country is run, based on constitution.
Yeah. I wanted to ask the Prof what would be the Nigerian strategic response in terms of internal relations in the context of what is going on, in our neighbors here. Nigeria is the biggest country in West Africa in terms of population, so we should be able to rally other countries in West Africa to come with a kind of a common position to ensure that we put a stop. And I think there are a lot of things that we can do in that respect. That it's not even about military intervention. If all the countries, there are 16 countries in West Africa, and we are talking about coups in 3 countries, so they are still in minority. If all the countries can come together with a strong policy, I think we can. If we don't do it, it's going to really affect us in the nearest future.
Yeah, thank you. So just in 20 seconds, your thoughts on this?
What I would just say is that people must learn to choose the right leaders. See, it's not only the point of leadership we have, bad leadership we have in Africa or even in Nigeria. We also have bad followers, bad following. So we must learn, poverty or not, people must learn to come out as well and say, we don't want bad leaders. Let's get alternatives. It's doable, it's possible.
Absolutely, it's doable, it's possible. That's Paul Dada, a journalist. Thank you so much. And Adewale Adeoye, thank you so much for making our time to share your insights on the program.